is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
All right, big hour coming up. Confirm or deny in about a half an hour. A rare Wednesday, 6:30. Confirm or deny. We love it. I don't know if you've done confirm or deny before, Dunlop.
I did, buddy. Yeah.
Last week, I guess you would have done that.
I got it once with Dave Feschuk.
Yeah, there you go. All right.
I can confirm it's a good segment.
You had fun with confirm or deny?
I can confirm. I have no idea what the questions are today.
That's the way we operate.
I can either confirm or deny that.
Yeah, that's how we operate. Like you're playing the role of Owen Noodles. I don't tell them anything. You got to go in clean. You got to make up your mind quick. Spontaneous takes.
I got to be honest. It's pretty comfortable on this side. To not have to worry about the clock. Keith's not in my ear. The grappler's not telling me what to do as much.
Was the grappler bothering you a lot when you were hosting? Like he wasn't in your. Although you're like a TV guy, you're probably used to that.
I would, yeah. In fact, he was in my ear a lot less than I expected, and perhaps a little less than I might be comfortable.
Is that
but
right?
The dynamic worked out. He communicated everything I needed to know.
Everything you needed to know.
I guess I just,
the grappler supplied you with, but maybe you could have used a little bit more grappler. Is that what you're suggesting?
Maybe. I mean, I just like talking to him.
Grappler?
He also, have you noticed how similar you two sound? I know this has been brought up before.
No, you nor I have never been told that before and never had that conversation.
No one has ever tweeted or said,
nope.
I can't, sometimes I hear the grappler and I think it's Hayes.
Really?
Or vice versa.
I have never heard that before.
No, that's a first.
Maybe, see, now I feel like you're changing your voice, grappler. But when we were doing the show the other day, you were saying something, it was golf related, that's what it was. He loves his golf.
Maybe it's just a golf thing then, where when you and I are talking about golf, it just sounds the exact same.
It could be. I don't know. Also,
he's got a great voice. I mean, the grappler, he brings some heat.
The mics in here are great. For someone that did a whole World Cup show on a headset where I could have been selling air conditioners across the world, these mics are amazing.
Yeah, they're outstanding. Yeah, they are outstanding. Well, listen, next time you're in here, if you're in the big chair, you need more grappler. The grappler
just
will
ask
supply
for
it.
More grappler.
You can get right in your ear whenever you need it.
I guess after years of getting death stares, I guess I just try. It's less is more, and I figure I only get in your ear when I need to.
Yeah, exactly.
And listen, Brendan, it's not like you're doing anything crazy wrong, so why would I bother getting in your ear and correct something that doesn't need to be corrected?
I do like that.
How about that?
Do you know what I struggle with? You talk about having a voice in your ear. The counts to break. It's a hard 10, 9, 8, which doesn't exist in radio. And I often don't know how to dismount. Not just a radio thing, but if I don't have a count, I don't know how to get out.
Oh, so you're not comfortable unless you have it.
If you give me a count, even for something like that doesn't need a count, I will hit it every time.
Really?
And it's almost always excellent. But if I don't have a count, I'm fumbling, flubbing. But we're listening to OverDrive.
See, that's strange.
No idea
to me. Yeah.
how to get out without 3, 2, 1 in my ear.
Okay, well, maybe that's something you need to talk to the grappler about. Because
get him to count me out to break.
I'm the complete opposite. If he counted me out all the time, it just wouldn't work. Like, there's no way. Listen, I'm somewhere in the middle, right, when it comes to broadcasting. I understand this is some inside baseball stuff for the audience, but there are some people that cannot take it.
Right.
I happen to know of one guy who was in this seat at one point about 10 years ago, absolutely went ballistic because a producer was just trying to help out with something. Couldn't handle it, couldn't take it, almost came to blows. It was an ugly scene. Would never happen on this show, though. All right, Chris Rose coming up in just a moment. Keegan Matheson was tweeting out, our boy from MLB Network, he was down at the park with Jays Padres tonight. Ross Atkins was speaking to the media a couple hours ago. And Keegan tweeted out, from listening to Ross Atkins today and speaking with others in the organization, my feel for the Blue Jays trade deadline priorities is a depth starter who has options or control, an experienced bench bat, likely right-handed, position doesn't matter much, one bullpen upgrade. So, very underwhelming deadline is basically what Keegan is telling you. What Keegan is basically suggesting, based on what he's hearing and what he heard from Ross Atkins, is that the team is in front of you. Mm-hmm. And we're talking depth. Like a depth starter with options. Like, this is what bothers me about...
You're looking stressed. Your whole body language changed.
The way Shapiro and Atkins operate, this is their MO. Control, cost certainty, and I think there has to be times where you get off that page. And if you believe you've built towards winning something this year, and there's a guy that's a true rental that can actually get something done, do it. Like they're always beholden to control, options. And it just, and this isn't about Ohtani, and I know I've been all over that this week. I'd love to see them in on Ohtani. This is suggesting the complete opposite. He's not a depth starter. He's not a bench bat.
Do you think he's moving, though?
It sounds like that's the way it's moving, but with the Angels, I think it's difficult to predict.
That's what I mean.
Right? Because of their incompetence and the possibility that the owner says, we got to still sell some tickets.
Yeah.
Mike Trout is still here, even though he's injured. We got to pretend like we're still trying to compete. And if you trade Shohei Ohtani, you're saying you're out.
You're saying you're out.
Which they're probably out anyway.
I think they believe that they have a chance of re-signing him. So I don't think they're going to look to move him unless there's some personal loyalty conversation that's had. Like, look, get us some better pieces.
Yeah.
I'm coming back in the summer.
I wonder how Shohei Ohtani would answer that question. Do you want out? Has anyone asked him that question? And would you think you'd get anything close to an honest answer?
I don't.
Probably not.
I don't think he has an honest answer in his head, to be perfectly
You don't
honest.
think Shohei has an answer on whether or not he wants to be traded?
I think he fantasizes what it would be like to be in a different scenario, but I don't think he knows the right answer.
All right, here's Chris Rose from the NFL Network, the Chris Rose Rotation Podcast. Chris, do you think Shohei Ohtani knows whether or not he wants to be an Angel beyond the trade deadline?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine he does, right? I mean, if I think the hard thing is they keep winning games against the Yankees and had one against the Astros. And, as long as they're not 10 games out, it can be a little confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, put yourself in his shoes. He's been there now 5.5 seasons. By all reports, he likes a lot about it. But I think that he probably, as any sort of great competitor, would like to play in a meaningful game. And he has yet to do that in September for this franchise. So, I mean, he's a smart guy. I'm sure he looks around the room and says they're all good dudes and trying hard. But do we have enough to the point where we're going to be closer than 5 games to the wild card? Like, can it get any better? And he will get traded to an unquestionably better situation. There's not going to be a team that is like halfway in at this point. So he would have a shot elsewhere. The question is, does he want to get up and move with 2 months to go? I don't know. That one I can't answer.
Are you still based in LA, Chris? Are you still out there on the West Coast?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was out there this weekend for the Gold Cup final at SoFi. I've just said to Brian Hayes that without a doubt, the World Cup final has to be at SoFi Stadium in 3 years' time. The drive to Anaheim, though, from anywhere that's not Anaheim or Orange County, I feel like the Angels are just up against it constantly. It's really unfortunate for them that they're in this situation with two of the greatest players of all time, cannot win, and in that city they're always going to be second. But that city is now is baseball truly second in that city to the NFL now that the Rams have returned and then the Chargers play there as well?
No, I mean this is the Lakers now, first and foremost. Yeah, so they're number one. It's a pretty good Dodger city, to be honest with you. It really is. They're pretty passionate. They still get really good crowds, and they've had an amazing run over the last decade. So they're pretty good Dodger fans. The Angels are, without Ohtani, they're barely a blip on the radar.
Mm-hmm.
As it is, it's still a tough push. I mean, you can get good seats when Ohtani pitches, and that's a shame because I suggest to anybody, if you ever have a chance to go see him in person, do his thing, go, because this isn't a once-in-a-generation type guy. This is a once-in-a-sports history type guy. Nobody can convince me, oh, he's the second coming of Babe Ruth. No, Babe Ruth pitched a couple of years against people who just weren't nearly as skilled as the players we see today. And when he was pitching, he wasn't hitting home runs at the rate that he eventually did. This guy is. I describe it to NFL fans as it would be like watching Patrick Mahomes get 15 sacks a year on top of throwing 45 touchdowns. That's essentially what it is. So, you know, it would be like Austin Matthews scoring 60 goals and giving up 2.5 goals a game. Sorry, that's not going to happen. So that's what we're looking at. Take it for granted if you want, but you're being a fool if you do.
With Chris Rose. So up here in Toronto, as you know, Jays are in a pretty good spot. You know, they've been red hot lately, and last night they ran into it. They left 1 million guys on base, which they've been prone to do this year. But the story was Manoah, and it's been the story of the year. It's you know, I've been doing a show like this for quite a while in the city. I can't recall like a story arc like this in a long time, where you get a guy who is unanimously loved and supported and gets the ball opening day, and everyone's predicting. Everyone. This is it. Top 5 Cy Young lock. Watch it. Manoah's going to crush. And it's gone the complete opposite way. And he goes down to the Florida Complex League, gets lit up against 18 and 19-year-olds, comes up pretty well in Detroit, hits the break, comes home, first home game in over a month, gets lit up last night. Now, things went against him with the strike zone, some defensive blunders, some unlucky bounces going against him. But the stat line is what it is, right? 5 walks, no Ks, gave up a home run, gets through 3, and he's out. How do you define, you know, what that chapter last night means in terms of the overarching story of Manoah this season and how it might affect what the Jays do between now and the end of the month and the trade deadline in particular?
Yeah, they don't have a lot of time to sit and figure this one out.
No.
So they got to pretty much go with their gut. And it's tough because I'm rooting for him. I picked not only the Jays to be in the World Series against the Padres. Boy, remain hot, Rose. But I also picked Alek Manoah to win the Cy Young. So, I don't know. Guys, everybody probably just turned off the interview. Got to be honest with you. Didn't help myself here much. But I also am not alone. I am not alone.
No, you're not. No.
And I can't figure it out for the life of me. They have to protect themselves a little bit. Even if it's just a guy who can eat them some innings, you know, that you're not contractually committed to after this year. It at least buys you some time on Manoah. But, man, I was hopeful after that performance against Detroit. I really was.
Mm-hmm.
Then last night, you know, I think you have to give him another start or two. That'll get you up to the trade deadline, and then keep your fingers crossed. But it wouldn't surprise me if they go if they go get a stud. I don't think they need that. They need a guy that can give them some innings at least.
Yeah, well, that's the precarious, you know, position they find themselves in because Manoah is supposed to be that guy, and they want to believe that. Hyunjin Ryu is on the verge of making a return, but he's 36 coming off Tommy John, and he really struggled before Tommy John. But he's Hyunjin Ryu. They're paying him $20 million, you know.
But they're going to – right. I mean, the thing is we know that he's going to have to be on some sort of innings limit when he comes back, right? They're not going to – he's not going to come out and throw 7 strong every 5 days. That's not going to do it. Mm-hmm. And then Kikuchi, you know, they sit there in the beginning of the year, you're like, oh, my, okay, this is going to be awesome. And then some so-so stuff. You know, you can't just throw Bassett and Gossman out there and be like, yeah, we're good, because that's 40% of your rotation. But they're not alone, guys. There's a lot of competitive teams right now that are stuck after the first 2 or 3 guys in their rotation. Mm-hmm. So there's competition for dudes, right? You read a report that they're interested in bringing Stroman back. Well, that won't be cheap for them. You know, the Cubs aren't just going to give him away. There is a little bit of leverage for the team that's buying, because they can say, hey, listen, you can't even give him a compensatory pick, right? Because he's free to walk. He's truly a free agent. There's nothing attached to him. So they'll say either you take what we're giving you, or you're going to have to eat it the rest of the year, and then he'll walk possibly. But there's going to be other teams in contention. The Astros need one. The Giants need somebody. The Diamondbacks need people. The Dodgers need people. These are a lot of good teams that think they have a shot at winning the World Series that have an incomplete rotation. And I'm not talking about just numbers 4 and 5 in the rotation. Could be as early as 3.
Mm-hmm. Chris, I love the baseball talk. I had a bunch of football questions ready, and we just got into it. But
let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Talking about teams with championship beliefs or championship pedigree, I think there are a lot of people that thought Aaron Rodgers would carry the a championship tag or a championship challenging tag, I should say, with him wherever he went. There's a lot of people in New York Jets land that would love to believe that, but there's a lot of people that don't. Do you think that the Jets are actually a contender this season in what is, well, still a very complicated, very competitive, and difficult AFC?
So I look at it this way. The Jets last year were in contention until the last few weeks. And that was with bottom 5 at best quarterback play in the league. I mean, it was dreadful. I watched a lot of it because I did a show with C.J. Uzama, one of their tight ends, last year. So I had to watch my fair share. I mean, I watch everybody because I work for NFL Network, but I really watched the Jets closely. And I was like, dang, I cannot believe they're in this thing with the type of play we've seen.
Right.
But here's one thing. Aaron Rodgers was not very good last year. We could say it was because he had a couple of young receivers and banged up offensive line. Well, folks, that's the way it goes in the NFL. You know, you're going to have to play with backup offensive linemen. You're going to have to play with not your full complement of skill guys. That's going to happen. Like right now, everybody's happy and feeling good, and we all should be, all right? It's optimism. It's hope. We believe this is the league where you can go from last in your division to the playoffs. It happens with 4 or 5 teams every year. So why shouldn't the Jets be excited about getting one of the greatest, the most talented quarterbacks ever? I need to see how it's going to work. I really need to see how it's going to work. Like, is his, you know, he had quite an act going in Green Bay. That's little Green Bay where they've got like 3 reporters covering him. How's it going to go when you're in the city of all cities in New York, where the Jets have the longest playoff drought, where they haven't been to a Super Bowl in 55 years? Like, is his thing going to work? Is he going to be able to say what he says and get away with it? That's part of the deal that I don't know. I mean, they're already bitching about being on Hard Knocks. It's going to be fascinating to me.
Yeah, we were talking about Hard Knocks last hour and how I guess the Jets have decided that they're not going to allow the cameras to be in the room when they cut players.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
Well, it definitely has been some of the indelible moments of that show, right? In the 20 years we've seen it, basically. Coaches sitting down with guys and in some cases, guys whose names we didn't know until this show started, who all of a sudden have a rooting interest and a following because we've bought into their story. And I understand it, that I understand why they want to protect some stuff, but if you're going to do it, do it. And I know that they're forced to kind of do it, but that's what comes with this. That's what comes with this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're like, my God, why does everybody want to pay attention to us now? Well, I wonder why. So, yeah, I think it's a little small-mindedness on their part, because I do like following these stories. I like getting to know these kids, and I want to feel happy when somebody makes the team, and I want to hurt for them when they don't make it. That's not embarrassing if you get cut from an NFL team. It's not. It's the nature of this business. It can be heartless at times.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, if anything, it helps support some of these people that don't make the squad. Nobody's laughing at you because you didn't make the team.
Right.
We feel for you at the end of the day after Hard Knocks, don't you think?
Yeah, no, that's right. It really is. It's the most unique part of the whole show. right? Like
Yeah.
guys trying to prank or have fun or whatever, seeing what's going on on the buffet line or seeing wideouts run routes or fights in practice. Like that's cool stuff. But we've seen it, we kind of know it, and there's not much to it. It's filler in many ways. Like the heart of the show really is the guys who are trying to make the team. Like that's really what it is. Like who's going to make it, who's not, who's on the hot seat, who had a great camp, who doesn't, and then what's the reaction like when the news is
delivered,
levied and delivered. Exactly. Like that's the essence of it.
If anything, I think having Hard Knocks around is a benefit to your brand. Like I think more times than not, we as football fans, we have our favorite team. We have our fantasy players we root for. But then because you followed them over a 5-week journey, you feel like you're a little bit invested in them.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing how they do throughout the season, more times than not, it's a real positive light. Like, we want to get to know you a little bit better. And I think it's a missed opportunity if the Jets are going into this with a real negative feeling. I mean, if this is something that's going to be a burden to you because there's a handful of cameras around practice, like some of the guys I work with, we just wrapped up our seminar at NFL Media, and they're like, are you kidding me? There's way more distractions than having NFL films around around you for 5 weeks. Way more.
Well, we're getting close, Chris, as you know. I mean, rookies, a lot of them reporting throughout the league, and the real stuff beginning in, I think, just over a week. So before you know it, it is go time. You'll be all over it. As always, he is Chris Rose of the NFL Network, Chris Rose Rotation Podcast. Always great having you on. Thank you for doing this, Chris.
Guys, it's my pleasure. Appreciate it. Good luck to the Jays, except for the series where they play my Guardians.
Yes.
So, other than that, I'll be keeping an eye on you, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, guys.
There he is, Chris Rose. You got it.
TV legend, man. We're talking about Inside Baseball. I mean, that show, best damn, man. I know it's been a long time.
Been a long time, right? John Sally and
I don't know.
Rob Dibble was on that team or on that show.
Rob Dibble, yeah. I don't know where Chris falls in the camp of that, whether it's like, it was great, it was in the past, but I'm doing this now. Like when Jim Rome talks about that a lot, when people bring up like his 20, 15-year-old shows, like, man, it was 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm doing this now. My mind is here.
Yeah, well, there's another guy in Rome. Like now he's not on. He's on TV. He's on CBS.
Yeah.
Like his radio show is on, but he used to be all over ESPN.
He's the guy.
He was, Jim Rome is Burning was a show that was on all the time. Like, and he's been doing. You talk about a guy that's been doing it for a long time. Like Rome's been doing it for almost 40 years now, I think.
Is it 40? Wow.
Got to be late 80s when he started.
The king of syndication, man.
Yeah, like exactly. You go out to the West Coast, he's still everywhere out there.
Yeah.
Like you don't find him as much, I think, on the East Coast or around here as much, but like in California, he's still the king, as far as I know. All right, we'll get to our best bets brought to you by FanDuel later in the hour. Confirm or deny coming up. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050, online TSN1050.ca.
It's time for Confirm or Deny.
Do you regret giving all those gentlemen the no trades or no movement clauses?
Well, I can neither confirm or deny that.
I can't confirm or deny.
All right, Confirm or Deny brought to you by Don Valley North Lexus. Right now, lease the 2023 IS 300 premium package from just $288 bi-weekly for 24 months. Visit DonValleyNorthLexus.com for all of the details. All right, Brendan Dunlop in here. Confirm or deny. Took part in this last week. Great segment. Very original. No one else does this in sports media.
What's unique about it?
Statements are made. You either confirm or deny.
Simple as that.
Very simple, yet very complex.
Well, I can neither confirm or deny that.
All right, so I'm going to start with a golf one. I know this isn't necessarily your wheelhouse, but
you guys in your golf, man.
You know Scotty Scheffler, right? And Scotty Scheffler is a top 5 machine. This guy finishes top 5 at every tournament. But winning a golf tournament, especially of this magnitude, is very difficult to do. Confirm and deny, it is more likely Scotty Scheffler wins the Open than finishing outside of the top 10.
I'm going to deny that. He's more likely to win the Open than finish outside the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Man, we were just talking about the weather with our boy Steve Sands.
Yep.
and the wind that can play a big factor when you've got rainy, crappy British weather that they'll have at Royal Liverpool. So I guess that's me going on the opposite end against the guy. What say you, buddy?
I'm going to deny it as well because as much as I think this is something that will land in the middle, like I expect him T5, T7, and he's been doing that a lot recently. He hasn't been winning recently, which is asking, a lot. And it's very difficult to be the sole possessor of the title, right? Like the standalone number one guy. What Scheffler's doing lately is remarkable. Like every single time he's in the top 10. And I fully expect it'll happen again. But it is more likely he has a rough Sunday, shoots a 74 and falls to T12 than it is I think he wins it. Although I'm bullish on him this week. I'm bullish on him every single tournament he plays in. More likely to take the field and 10 guys being in front of Scheffler than him being in front of everybody else. All right, moving on. Confirm or deny. Joel Embiid will still be a member of the Philadelphia 76ers in 2025.
Oh.
So a couple years from now, Joel Embiid is still in Philly.
I'm going to deny a couple of years from now that he's still in Philly. I thought you were going to say come the end of the season. I do think that he and Nick Nurse will work well together, but I think that he's going to grow tired of not winning in Philadelphia because I don't think they'll get to the top sooner than maybe Nick Nurse deserves. So I will say that, he'll be out by 25.
Yeah, the nature of the NBA is that basically any superstar who hasn't won anything, at some point they want out.
Yeah.
Right? We're seeing it with Damian Lillard.
At some point in their physical prime still as well.
Yes. And Dame, he had a great year. Statistically, I think the best season of his career last year. But he's 32 now. Like, he's still in his prime, but he's on the back end of that prime. Joel Embiid is so injury-prone that could factor into this as well, that he actually is a part of the issue. That's the amazing thing about the NBA. No self-awareness, right? It's the organization's fault. It's not his fault that they lose, that he craps out in the biggest moment, and James Harden does the same thing. I'm actually going to confirm this, though, because I think Embiid wants to be the man. As much as he keeps asking for help, I think he's obsessed with the limelight. I think he's obsessed with trying to do it in Philly. It's a tough market, but they've come around on him. They love him. You have Nick Nurse there. Daryl Morey's a pretty good executive. We'll see how the James Harden stuff shakes out. But Embiid is the man, and Philly is pretty consistently a good team. Are they a great team? Not necessarily. The best chance they probably had was in 19 when they had Jimmy Butler, and we know what happened there. But I'm going to confirm it, but it's like 60-40, right? It's certainly not 100%. And it's not 100% with any superstar in the NBA. No superstar in the NBA. A 2-year run is a lifetime. It's an eternity in the NBA.
The second round in Philly is the expectation. Beyond the second round is what they've been striving for, and on paper, probably what they deserve.
Yes.
But I don't know if they're gonna do it before 25.
Okay, confirm or deny. Bill Belichick should be on the hot seat in New England if they have a down season.
Oh, confirm. Yeah.
Bill Belichick on the hot seat.
This is a different NFL, man. The time is different. His jam, his shtick worked for a long time. Very successful. Build him a trophy. Like get him a job in the front office. Now, if he still wants to work and be around the team as often, he strikes me as one of those guys that wouldn't know what to do with himself if he didn't have it. That doesn't mean he deserves to keep the seat. It's time you got to evolve.
That's enough. He's got to evolve, Bill Belichick.
No, the organization has to evolve.
Well, here's what I would deny it as a coach. I think as an executive, he should be on the hot seat already.
Yeah.
Like the way this guy operates with the draft, his lack of talent in terms of premium positions like wideout, the running back position. Mac Jones, we'll see. Now we're into 3 years. What's Mac Jones going to be all about? We'll
Mac
find
and
out.
Baker, you really think they're going to share it?
No. Listen, Mac Jones is going to be the guy.
Yeah.
And Mac is, I think he's got the potential to be a good quarterback, not a great quarterback. But Belichick's got to help him. Like you got to have premium talent around him. But I don't think Belichick should be on the hot seat that quickly as the coach, because I still think he strikes fear in other coaches throughout the NFL.
How do you take the exec away from a guy like that?
That's going to be difficult to do. That is going to be difficult to do because he's been all powerful there, man. He's been the Wizard of Oz for a long, long time.
Even when he didn't have the title, I think he had the power and the control.
Absolutely. That's the nature of the NFL. The head coach, especially if it's a big name, like beast of a head coach, that guy runs everything.
Yeah.
Like that guy makes the call. The GM is secondary in many ways. But it's interesting that what happened here is when Belichick had the premium quarterback forever, he was the man. Now people are realizing in that conference in the AFC, if you don't have a quarterback, you're probably screwed anyway. and that's the truth. Like, he may have a 10-7 season.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. But it can't be much better than that.
Mm-hmm.
And even if it is and you make the playoffs, there's no way Mac Jones is getting through Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers, Trevor Lawrence, Mahomes.
You put Lawrence up there.
Burrow, absolutely. Trevor Lawrence for sure. Look what he did last year.
Mm-hmm.
Look what he did in the second half. Justin Herbert. Like, there's just way too many elite quarterbacks that they're not going to be able to charge through the AFC with Mac Jones, and that's clearly an issue. Here's one for you. Confirm or deny. Leo Messi, your boy, should feel obligated to play in every MLS city.
I'm going to confirm. Yeah, I think you should be obligated. This is what's very different to other star players like Lorenzo Insigne or Federico Bernardeschi, who come for a lot of money. But in this city, Insigne would be the 6th or 7th highest paid Toronto Raptor, right? Mm-hmm. On what is the highest salary in Major League Soccer. They've rewritten the book on how to pay this guy to make him a part owner, to make him a beneficiary of their current and existing brand deals, and to make him a commercial market piece for someone who's not only going to sell subscriptions for Apple TV, MLS season passes, but also to sell iPhones in countries like his own country where iPhone is second to Android. So, and this guy's getting paid a ton of money in order to do that. Mm-hmm. You're not asking that much for someone. This is not Europe where Barcelona could play 50 to 60 games in a season. You've got 34 regular season games. Yes, you do have the some that you have to play on turf, which they don't have in Europe, and that's the big argument with these older guys. Mm-hmm. But from a league and brand perspective, this is the biggest thing to happen to soccer in North America since Pele.
Right.
It really is. This is bigger than Beckham.
Way bigger, right?
And I also think, he I don't want to say he owes it, but certainly the league owes it to everyone invested in the league to see it grow. Get the most out of it. You can't be load managing this guy.
No, I agree with you. I confirm it as well. I think there needs to be an understanding that this guy's an ambassador. It's like Messi is in MLS. It is wild. We saw you were in Qatar. The guy was the man.
He was the man.
Like the man in the biggest tournament in the world, and now he's in MLS. And he's so big. He's worth so much. He's got so much leverage, so much power. He could easily say, I'm taking games off.
And he probably will.
But if he's going to play, how many years do you think he'll play? 2, 3 years?
I would love to see him play 3. I think he's going to play. I hope he plays 2 full seasons after this.
Right. So you got the rest of this season.
Which is only 11 regular season games.
Right. Like they've already come to Toronto. That's over.
Yeah,
right?
there's
like,
no Canadian stops on the tour.
You're not going to Vancouver. You're not going to Montreal.
No.
Like, it's not going to happen. So if you have 2 full seasons after that, he will have the ability to hit every spot.
Yeah.
Which includes Canadian markets,
Toronto,
going
Montreal,
to Cincinnati, going to Kansas City.
Who would have thought to see Lionel Messi at Dick's Sporting Goods Park?
Yeah.
This is the world we live in, baby.
But I confirm it, though. I think it's, because obviously it's about TV, it's about subscriptions, it's about Apple, it's about kind of bigger picture stuff. But there should be a gate element to this, too.
I think so.
Like, people want to see him play live. Mm-hmm. And I hope he's got that understanding of how big and important that would be. I would assume he probably does.
Was it the NFL you said where there's players don't have any perspective? Or you not perspective?
Joel Embiid, yeah. It said NBA players for sure.
NBA players. I think Messi is aware, probably not to the extent that it actually is, but here's a tangible measurement for anyone who thought this is a sham or people don't care about MLS. His unveiling on Sunday night, which was the same time as the Gold Cup final, mind you, the United States weren't in it, but Mexico was, and Mexico draw the biggest soccer numbers in the United States. Like Liga MX is the most watched league, more than the Premier League, more than the Champions League. So you have a big viewing audience that was doing something else that night. It got 3.5 billion worldwide views. Billion. On Apple.
So how do you calculate that? Like, just like viewing it via
someone might be watching
TV
it 300 times, but it was accessible worldwide on Apple TV.
Really?
And there's tiered packages how they're going to do the games. It's to sell subscriptions, but this was available to 3.5 billion people that watched it. This is just an unveiling, just for him to come out and say a few words. and you have the MLS broadcast wax poetically about what it means for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it is going to be huge. You've seen the ticket surge, the prices in Miami. You can't get a ticket for less than $450, $500, and they're just speculating when he would have started. And they were still selling for $500.
Right.
He's supposed to play on Friday, make his debut in the League's Cup.
Is that right?
Their inaugural. This is the forging of what would it be like if Mexico and America merged their soccer leagues. That's what this League's Cup is. They got 47 teams doing battle against each other, bunch of 3-team groups, which is
like, is he just going to dummy everybody? This is what I don't get. Like, it's the guy, again, is still arguably, he may not be the best player in the world anymore, but like at the World Cup, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
If he's on rest and he's in form, like, he's going to destroy this league. Shouldn't he? Like, isn't it a disappointment if this guy doesn't dummy every possible record?
It should be. He's not going to score 100 goals a season. He's also not going to play at the same level that you saw at Barcelona because he doesn't have those players around him.
Right.
What he will do is elevate all of the players around him. He will make his team a contender.
I wonder if
they
he gets
will
frustrated. I wonder if he's like, I can't do this, man.
I wonder.
Like, these guys just are not good enough to be playing with me.
We've seen it. We've seen it in this city.
Yeah.
You can. It's hard not to look at the body language of Bernardeschi and Insigne and think that's exactly what they're saying.
Right.
And when Jermaine Defoe was here, he said it out loud.
Yeah, he's like, I got to go back.
He said it out loud.
Not good enough.
He said it out loud in the locker room, in front of his locker, and couldn't understand why the media was there with cameras. What is this? Like, there's an adjustment period that Messi will, get to, that he thinks he has an idea, but he hasn't taken a flight to play a game in Denver.
Yeah, well, exactly. Let's see what you got. And I hope there's a guy in the room that thinks he owns the room.
Somebody else, you mean?
Yeah, that just wants to just wants to own Messi. Like, if you're coming into my world, I don't care who you are, who you think you are. This is my clubhouse. This is my dressing room. I run the music. We're going for dinner tonight. You're coming with us.
Yeah. No, so this is where it's Wednesday, the last Wednesday of August, Leo. We always go to this place.
Yeah, exactly.
You gotta come, or you're not part of the team.
Are you a part of the team, or are you bigger than the team? Because that is legitimately a part of the discussion, I'm sure, going around the club, is like, he's bigger than everything.
He's bigger than the league.
He's bigger than the league.
This is what I'm saying. This is where the obligation comes
Hey,
from.
we're going for beers? No, actually, I'm not, because I'm Messi and you're MLS
Joe left
regular player. Yeah, exactly.
Like, the gap between, and you see this in the NBA, there's guys making $1 million, and then you've got, Lowry was here making 30, 35.
In terms of, like, the talent, though.
Correct.
Like,
but
the
you've
NBA,
also got the salary gap where, if you accumulate everything, Messi's on like $200 million a year.
Right.
You've got dudes that are making $88,000.
Exactly. That's wild. When you think of the discrepancy there.
That doesn't happen the same way in other places.
No. On top of how much money he's already made. Like, he's already probably a billionaire or close to it.
Probably. I don't think he does the same business ventures that Ronaldo does, but he's got a few. And these guys are in places that are, promoting things and getting a lot of cash.
Mm-hmm.
Like Visit Saudi is also very much in Messi's financial.
Probably
coffers.
pays him like $25 million. Come in for a couple days.
That's the new Saudi America rivalry is MLS versus the Saudi Pro League.
That's right.
Ronaldo very timely comments. He's over there at Al Nasser in Riyadh. Says the Saudi Pro League is way better than MLS.
Oh, really?
Very timely.
How would Ronaldo know that?
Very timely.
Well, there you go. All right, confirm and deny. I love it. Brought to you by Don Valley North Lexus. Right now, lease the 2024 NX 250 Signature Package from just $298 biweekly for 24 months. Visit DonValleyNorthLexus.com for all of the details. We'll come back with our best bets brought to you by FanDuel. Recap a busy afternoon. Tee up Jays Padres tonight. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
Just keep it safe with me. Anything you say will always stay.
All right, today's best bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Looking at the Open Championship here, Dunlop, all right? We got a little parlay cooking up on the FanDuel Sportsbook app, going off at plus 1,500.
Ooh, give it to me, man. It's a lot of value.
Rory McIlroy, top 10. Tommy Fleetwood, top 20. Tom Kim, my boy, Tom Kim, top 30. And Bob McIntyre, Robert McIntyre, the Scotsman who almost had it last week at the Scottish Open, top 40. So you got Rory, top 10, Fleetwood, top 20, Tom Kim, top 30, Robert McIntyre, top 40. I love all four plays. I love them all individually. I love them parlayed. And you can find that on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Today's best bets powered by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today and find thousands of ways to wager. Please play responsibly. Must be 19 plus and physically located in Ontario. Yeah, we'll see what happens here this week. We got the Open Championship. We got the Jays, Padres. We've got, you're saying Messi may finally make his debut over here, MLS?
Supposed to play on Friday. Leagues Cup, not MLS.
Leagues Cup.
Leagues Cup.
Apologies.
Yeah. Going up against the best Mexican opposition.
Is that right?
That they can concoct.
Now, would that be in Miami?
This is a tester. I forget how the schedule works. I think that Friday night.
You got to have him make his debut in Miami, right? I mean, you can't have Messi start on the road, can you?
It's crazy to me that he's starting in this Leagues Cup and not actually in the league. But it would have meant he would have had to play already, and then you get a break. Maybe they're worried about that. They're also really trying to prop this up.
Yeah, sure.
Like,
I mean,
this is Mexican versus American, albeit North American soccer. TFC's playing Atlas, one of the biggest teams from Mexico. They're in the group. Vancouver and Montreal are separate. They're in their own group. So they're trying to generate a lot of excitement. Having Messi make his debut in this competition is a good way to do it on a Friday night in Miami.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. Nothing wrong with that. Jays Padres tonight, and we know what happened last night. The story was Manoah clearly, but I talked about it earlier today. They left 19 guys on base.
Crazy.
19 left on base. Like, that's a staggering number. Been an issue all year. Runners in scoring position, trying to bring people home, big power bats, clutch hitting. Maybe they weren't going to chase down the 9 runs that the Padres put on the board last night anyway, but you got to give yourself a chance. And you got Darvish versus Barrios tonight.
Yeah.
Barrios has been good. Barrios has been good. It's kind of amazing how things have turned. This time last year, it was the opposite shoe, right? It would have been Manoah who would have been a stud last night, and then you'd roll it over and say, man, I'm concerned. What's Barrios going to bring tonight? Now you're relieved that Barrios is on the mound. And that's the amazing thing about sports. That's how quickly it can change. And it speaks to the brilliance of a consistent player, regardless of how good they are. Right? Obviously, if you're a great player, we've been talking about Messi. He's been consistently great for almost 20 years. Just every year he does it, and it's amazing.
That's what makes it magical.
Makes it magical. But
hard to do.
Even if you're just a good player that is always good, is actually something that is probably underappreciated in sports.
Huge.
Like, you're just a good player that's going to play for like 12 years. That's a great career, and that's a valuable piece.
Great example of how it's underappreciated. The pitcher going up against the Jays is pretty good, Darvish.
Yes.
But he was great a few years ago.
Right.
He was elite.
He was elite.
And now he's just a good pitcher.
Now he's just a good pitcher. His numbers are great this year.
The numbers are worse than Barrios.
Yeah, 4.65 ERA. But, yeah, I mean, Barrios sitting on a 3.41 ERA this year. You'll take that. Like, they gave him the bag. They gave him a lot of money. They gave him a lot of term. But if you pencil in what he's done this year for the remaining years on his deal, you'll take that all day if you're the Blue Jays.
How often do you go back to predictions, like your preseason predictions? Be like, oh, look, remember it's in the preseason said this guy was going to do this, and look what he's doing.
Try to avoid those as much as possible.
Oh, really?
Because it's
a good trope.
Yeah. You know what? We don't do a ton of predictions. I guess we could go back.
In your previews, you do.
Yeah,
but I mean, you remember those. Like,
I remember the ones that went really well, and then the ones that were horrendous.
Like, I had the opening day show. I was doing gameplay that week, and opening day, leading up to it, and Jay's this question marks. I said, Barrios can have a great year.
You called that.
Going to have a great year because I thought the World Baseball Classic, where he wasn't great, like mentally though, for the guy as a player, I saw an energy from that guy, and anytime he was on screen, that looked different than when he was with the Blue Jays. And I think he's going to carry that into the season. He had a horrible start, or not a very good start anyway, but look at him now.
Oh, well, listen, that was an unbelievable
How's that for a callback?
That's a great call. Roll the tape. Hey, you know what? If you're Manoah, I think you can look up to Barrios, and that's probably the guy you should be talking to.
Look at me. It's possible.
Like, Barrios was in as dark of a place as you could be a year ago. He was in the same position. Like, what are they going to do with this guy?
Yeah.
And they kept fighting, and he battled, and he regrouped, and credit to the Jays, because maybe they're using the same playbook because they've seen it, they've written it, and they understand you got to have their back, and you got to have faith that they're going to find a way to turn it around.
I worry,
and that's what Barrios has done.
I worry that it's not the same spectrum, right? I think
different players,
but also, like, I don't remember people talking about Dontrell Willis and Ricky Romero with Barrios. And that's coming up in conversation a lot.
Yeah.
People talk and watch how Manoah is.
Well, and Barrios never technically left the team. I think they found a phantom IL stint at one point, like just go away for a couple starts, see if that regroups. I don't know. Manoah's got 2 more starts before the deadline, and they got some heavy hitters coming out. I think one of them's in L.A. against the Dodgers.
That's right.
Good luck.
Good luck with that.
Not going to be easy. All right, buddy.
This was fun.
Great stuff,
This
man.
was 15 years in the making, really.
It's been a long time. They never gave us an opportunity. That's probably why that place went under. Right? If they knew real talent, they would have given us an opportunity.
Could be that. Yeah, Bryan and Brendan. Who knows where it would have gone?
Maybe we would have kept that place alive. What are you going to do? Anything's possible, right? Brendan Dunlop, give yourself a plug, buddy. Where can people find you?
I am Brendan_Dunlop. You can read me on Canadian Soccer Daily, which is very much my daily.
Yes.
And here occasionally. I've got the morning show with Matty Cause on Friday.
Beautiful.
And then I think I may have another one with you here on OverDrive. Buddy.
Oh, I'm sure you will. Absolutely.
Maybe we'll be on TV then.
We plan on being back next week. I know a lot of people are wondering. It's really not that detailed. There's really nothing nefarious going on.
It's the blepharitis in my eye.
Yeah, it's your eye really causes some issues behind the scenes. So we should be back next week. It's all good. All right, buddy. Good seeing you.
Good seeing
Thanks
you.
to everyone for tuning in. As always, radio, TV, podcast, web, whatever it happens to be, everyone behind the scenes, we're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at 4 p.m. We'll chat then.